You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, we catch up with the traveling troubadour to learn about grief through art.
Plus a recap of this week's town meetings.
And later, APCC's Executive Director, Andrew Gottlieb, joins us to discuss the federal funding freeze.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News.
Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Mitch Sock.
And I'm Suzanne Tenaire.
This week, I sat down with the traveling troubadour, Desmond Curran, as he shared his art and its connection to healthy grieving. Take a look. Today, I am joined by Desmond Curran, the traveling troubadour, to tell us about a show he has coming up later this month in Wellfleet. Desmond, thank you so much for joining us
Oh,
today.
yeah, thanks for reaching out.
So, I understand you grew up here in the Mid-Cape area. What can you tell us about your early life?
Yeah, so I relocated back down here in '74. So, so we came back to Herring River in West Harwich, a couple miles down the road, and stayed at my grandmom's house from '74 till like '94, so over 20 years. Oh, wow. Last year was a really, really tough year for my family. We lost both of my brothers to suicide, all in about 7 months. And I've had challenges with mental health, so part of me just kind of can't wrap my head around that they're not here anymore. But in memory of both of them, I've set up a GoFundMe, and part of the money is going to a nonprofit suicide prevention, and the rest is going towards my art. And the show is it's loosely based on that, but it's a celebration of life, but all in memory of both my brothers. So I need, someone's going to film the show up in Wellfleet. I have a big show coming up at Preservation Hall, February 22nd at 2 p.m. So I'm pumped about that. I'll be doing all my stuff. And people kind of say to me, dude, you know, like, what is a troubadour? So I'm like, well, good question. So they started in France in like 1050. And they initially were the court jester. And when the king got his head cut off, they became traveling troubadours. So they'd usually have a harp or a flute, and they'd travel around France doing kind of pretty lyrics and things like that. And then they spread throughout Europe until about 1300. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do, it's kind of what I do, but it's not really. So I said, this is called Troubadour Defined. Once a jester, never a clown, he lost his gig when the king went down. Nameless street corner, dark bar downtown, soft leaves flutter, lyrics spiral down. He'll haunt your dream, massage your soul, transport your heart, fill the hole. A rare bird from a forgotten time. Listen once, he'll blow your mind. He's the traveling troubadour, countless lines, Shakespearean rhymes. A small gratuity would taste so sweet for the master thespian, king of the streets. His greatest hope is his lines move you, tickle your heart, challenge your view. A thumping rapper, a medieval sound. He haunts forgotten New England fishing towns. When you least expect it, there he'll be, a forgotten talent, a mystery. Because there's once a jester, never a clown. He lost his gig when the king went down. Nameless street corner, dark bar downtown. Soft leaves flutter, lyrics spiral down. So I usually start my show because people are like, what's a troubadour? So I usually kind of start the show with that.
That's a fantastic,
So I write all my own stuff, thank you.
Kind of puts it all, like everything everybody needs to know about who you are and the type of performer you are.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Right up front at the start of the show. And thank you so much. Let's get the desk out of here if you want to play a song real quick.
Sure, man, I'd love to. That'd be awesome.
It up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So when my brother, I'll try not to get emotional here. When my brother Gav passed, I ended up going down to the water over and over. And I went down to Old Mill Point in West Harwich. I went to Pleasant Street Beach. I went to the Herring Red in West Harwich. And I just kept looking for him. So this is called Went to the Water. To the water, he wasn't sure why, to drift into the horizon, or maybe just say goodbye. to ask the question, why? He went to the water, he wasn't sure why. Why his heart hung so heavy, just like a stone. And every phone call just made him feel more alone. The drop of a hat, man, he'd start to cry. He went to the water, he wasn't sure why. Why his heart hung so heavy, just like a stone. And every phone call made him feel more alone. He went to the water, man, he wasn't sure why. Why I get more confused just when things seem to make sense. And only strangers seem to be his true friends. Empty bars, country roads, he'd scream to the sky. He went to the water, man, he wasn't sure why. Went to the water, he wasn't sure why. To drift into the horizon, or maybe just say goodbye. To ask the question, why? He went to the water, he wasn't sure why. He went to the water, he wasn't sure why.
Registration is now open for the Cape Cod Maritime Museum's Young Mariner Summer Program. This STEM-based day camp immerses kids in the ocean's wonders, from hands-on marine science experiments to thrilling boat excursions. Each day is about discovery, fun, and a deeper connection to the sea while exploring marine life, learning about coastal ecosystems, and mastering maritime skills.
The program is open to children entering grades 4 through 7. Each session is a week long, running from June 23rd to August 21st, Mondays through Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Each week will feature a different marine environment and animal theme, taking place at the Cape Cod Maritime Museum.
Celebrate Black History Month at the JFK Museum in Hyannis. Explore the rich tapestry of African American heritage through the captivating artworks of Robin J. Miller. Miller is a resident artist at the Zion Union Heritage Museum. She and her husband, James Walter Miller, have created a Black Lives Matter series for Cotuit Center for the Arts, where together they perform multimedia slideshow presentations. Her exhibit at the JFK Museum, called A Sankofa Journey, The African in America, features themes on heritage and includes a variety of materials like paper, fabric, paint, beads, stone, and more. The exhibit will be open until April 15th.
The Town of Dennis Department of Public Works has announced that the Town Hall 24/7 integrated license plate reading system is now fully operational at the transfer station. Now that the system is live, residents can register their vehicles in the system for an annual fee and will no longer need to use a sticker. As vehicles enter the facility, the system will automatically read the license plate via camera and confirm in the town's database that they are an active user. Customers whose license plates are not properly registered or need to pay the fee will be directed by the staff to the scale house.
This process is intended to enhance residents' experience by streamlining the entry process, as staff will no longer need to verify vehicles by manually checking stickers. Vehicle registration for the 25-26 season may be purchased online only beginning on February 18th. The Town Hall Sticker Office will be open March 31st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for in-person registration.
The Barnstable County Human Rights Advisory Commission has announced that the 2025 Voices of Peace Poetry Contest is now open. Celebrating its 30th anniversary, the contest is sponsored by Cape Cod Veterans for Peace Corporal Jeffrey M. Lucy. Submissions are open until Friday, March 28th, and can be from students or adults in the Cape and Islands area. Poems should focus on themes like how to create a peaceful world, the abolition of war, hate or violence, cultivating inner peace, or examples of nonviolent attitudes and friendship.
Each contestant may submit only one poem, no more than 50 lines. Winners will receive a certificate and a published book, and will be invited to read their poem at the Voices of Peace Poetry Reception in May. For a full list of submission guidelines, check out the Barnstable County Human Rights Advisory Facebook page.
Coming up after the break, recaps of this week's meetings. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. It's been another busy week for local government.
That's right, Suzanne. All 5 of our towns held select board and town council meetings again this week, so let's jump right into it.
In Barnstable, the meeting opened with recognition of town employees, including Lawrence Rainey, honored for his quick response to an emergency at the Barnstable transfer station. A heated discussion over affordable housing took center stage. Residents voiced concerns about overbuilding, the strain on infrastructure, and the financial burden on the town. Some called for a payment in lieu of taxes program for nonprofits to support police and fire services. The council voted 11-1 to move the 2025 housing production plan to a public hearing on February 27th. Critics argue that the plan lacks public engagement and contradicts community concerns. The Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee warned of future tax increases to cover wastewater infrastructure costs. Councilors debated long-term funding strategies. Councilors also tackled sewer expansion and the impact of newer development on existing properties. Meanwhile, Cape Light Compact updated the town on energy efficiency programs, and the council signed a letter of support for the MIT Renewable Energy Siting Clinic. The council referred zoning changes for multifamily housing to the planning board and delegated authority for 2 National Grid projects. A final vote on the housing production plan is set for February 27th. Over in Harwich, the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan is undergoing a review aligning with new state regulations. A key focus, the Great Sand Lake Sewer Extension Project, expected to cost $31.13 million, with funding through state revolving funds. The goal, to improve water quality and fully utilize Harwich's agreement with Chatham's wastewater facility. Harwich's 2026 fiscal budget is set at $47.6 million, a 4% increase from last year. Rising health insurance costs and debt service payments were major topics, with outstanding debt currently at $45.4 million. Meanwhile, the town is working to secure state loan forgiveness for wastewater projects covering 5.3% of costs. Proposed zoning changes would allow accessory dwelling units in line with new state laws, but some officials raised concerns about the impact of large-scale housing projects on the town's character. A proposed tree preservation bylaw sparked debate. It would require homeowners to mitigate tree removal on developed lots, either by replanting or contributing to a town fund. The board is weighing whether to adopt it as a town measure or leave it as a citizen's petition. In Dennis, plans for a new community center are moving forward. A feasibility study is in the works and surveys showed strong public interest. The proposed center could feature a gym, meeting spaces, and activities for all ages. The town is considering a $35,000 study to explore locations and costs. Fire Station 2 in Dennis Village is set for demolition. The Select Board is working on updated cost estimates and plans to reclassify the property for future use. Carlton Hall's future remains uncertain. Renovations could cost up to $4 million, but some board members question if taxpayers should foot the bill for a village-specific project.
I've been in Dennis since 1976. I've lived in every village of the town of Dennis except for Dennis Port. West Dennis, East Dennis. I've lived in all of those villages. It is a great, great, great town. And it may be worth saving Carlton Hall. But again, if it's just a limited use building for Dennis Village, then maybe Dennis Village folks should be able to come up with a method of renovating that building that doesn't cost the entire taxpayer base of the town of Dennis for renovating it.
The board will continue discussing funding options at a future meeting. Several capital projects were approved, including $1.6 million for a new fire truck, $425,000 for beach improvements, and $200,000 for dredging. The town stabilization fund still holds around $5.6 million. In Chatham, the future of art in the park sparked debate over foot traffic concerns at Kate Gould Park. While some worried about damage to the grass, others proposed redesigning the space for long-term use. In the end, the board approved the event for 2025, but with plans to revisit its layout in the future. The board also heard from the Chatham Merchants Association and the Chamber of Commerce, clarifying their efforts to support local businesses. Leaders emphasized the importance of year-round events, not just the summer season. The fiscal year 26 budget review included concerns over rising transportation and special education costs. Mold issues at the middle school were also raised, with officials stressing the need for long-term solutions. Several event licenses were granted, including Children's Light Parade and an extended Main Street closure for the holiday season. The board also received updates on water quality and infrastructure, with discussions on improving public notification policies for local projects. And finally, in Yarmouth, the board reviewed the annual town meeting warrant, discussing key budget priorities, including snow removal shortfalls, police cruiser leases, and fire department capital expenses. The board also debated whether Green Communities grant funds could be reallocated to other projects. Water quality remained a major focus, with discussions on PFAS contamination and wastewater treatment expansion. The board approved hiring a consultant to monitor non-water supply PFAS. The board explored financial incentives for year-round rentals and potential housing solutions for town employees. Economic growth along Route 28 was also a priority, with calls for a coordinated redevelopment strategy. The Select Board is planning a joint meeting with Barnstable Town Council to address airport operations, wastewater permits, and regional water management. The board also emphasized the need for stronger collaboration with the Dennis Yarmouth School Committee. And that's it for this week. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
Coming up after the break, we speak with Andrew Gottlieb from APCC. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News.
In national news last week, it had been widely reported that the federal funding freeze had been reversed. However, local nonprofit and environmental organization Association to Preserve Cape Cod took to social media this weekend to let the public know that they still could not access their federal grant funds. We are joined tonight by the Executive Director of APCC, Andrew Gottlieb. Andrew, thanks for speaking with us.
Yep.
Since your post over the weekend, has APCC regained access to the federal payment system, and what does that look like for your organization?
Yeah, so as of Monday night, APCC was able to access the payment system and were able to successfully process one relatively small payment. So as of right now, we believe our access has been restored.
That's good to hear. What are some of the projects that are at risk if APCC loses access to these federal funds again?
The first one and the one that is most significantly impacted right now is the restoration of cranberry bogs. The Harwich Conservation Trust was planning to issue contracts and break ground on the restoration of the Hinckley's Pond cranberry bogs during the month of February. And our ability to do that is now limited by the fact that the share of the funding that was going to go to that construction project from NOAA through APCC to Harwich Conservation Trust was $1.7 million of money that would be spent in the very near term. If we don't know that they will in fact honor that contractual obligation, neither APCC nor Harwich Conservation Trust has $1.7 million available to pay the contractor if the government defaults on their obligation.
And what would you say to those who might be directly or even indirectly impacted by these funding uncertainties?
I think, largely, what's happening is a very extreme form of the political process playing itself out. And I think the impact of these cuts, they go way, way beyond APCC and the 6 projects that we're doing here. These are across the economy, they are across agencies. They will ultimately affect, people's ability to get payments for things they counted on, whether it's childcare, whether it's elder care, whether it's support for, medical needs and the like. They need to let their elected representatives, primarily at the federal level, know that, it's a bedrock assumption that the federal government will honor its contracts, because if we don't honor contracts, it's very difficult for anybody to proceed with anything.
Well, Andrew, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Sure.
And will you be keeping the public up to date on any developments?
Yeah, keep your eyes open. Yeah, keep your eyes open. We've been pretty open and loud about this. So if we hit another hiccup or speed bump, we'll certainly let people know.
Dennis Animal Control has released an urgent notice for owners of pets with microchips. The popular company Save This Life Microchips has shut down suddenly and without notice. It's being reported that they have unlinked their database from the national registries, meaning if your pet has become lost, well, there's no way for a shelter or veterinary hospital to access your information. To find out if your pet's microchip was registered with Save This Life, you can visit AAHA.org or call the Dennis Animal Control Office at 774-352-1400. Animal Control officers can assist you in finding a new microchip company to register your pet with to ensure their continued safety.
Earlier this week, local officials, social workers, Department of Mental Health employees, families, and patients met at the Pecasset Village Association Community Building to discuss the consequences of proposed state budget cuts. The cuts, which would reduce the number of caseworkers by 170 and close the Pecasset Mental Health Center, have been widely opposed by community members and officials alike. The Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates and the Barnstable County Regional Commissioners have both drafted letters to Governor Maura Healey to express the community's opposition to the proposed cuts. And state representatives from across the Cape have joined in on the effort. State Rep Steve Exaros was present at the meeting, afterwards stating that, "Tonight we saw an incredible turnout as residents, mental health advocates, and bipartisan leaders came together to oppose the governor's plan to close the Pecasset Mental Health Facility. The powerful stories shared by dedicated workers and patients were a testament to how vital this facility is to our community." Rep X will be in our studio next week for an exclusive interview, so don't miss our episode next Friday.
The Cape Cod Ready Renter program is now accepting applications for an affordable housing lottery and its general waitlist. The available home is a one-bedroom apartment at 530 Main Street in West Dennis for $1,606 a month. Households must earn no more than 80% of the area median income. Rental voucher holders are encouraged to apply.
The General Waitlist program maintains a waitlist for 80 affordable rental units across Yarmouth, Dennis, Barnstable, and Falmouth. Units range from studios to four-bedroom homes, with rents varying by unit size, housing programs, and subsidy. Income limits apply, with most units capped at 80% of the area median income. To apply, you can visit the Dennis Planning Department, any Dennis Library, Yarmouth Town Hall, or by contacting Mary Wagan at 508-398-2231.
The Barnstable Police Department is alerting the public to another text scam. Victims are being contacted by someone claiming to be the Santander Bank Fraud Department via text message, stating that suspicious activity was discovered on their account. The scammers, after disclosing that the victim's information has been compromised, advised recipients to place compromised debit cards in their mailboxes to be picked up by a courier. The victim did as the fraud department personnel asked, and shortly following, multiple ATM cash withdrawals were made at local Santander Bank ATMs. Police advise never taking text message contact at face value. Always call your bank directly to confirm correspondence you receive. If you believe that you've been a victim of this scam or one like it, contact your local police department's non-emergency line. And lastly, this evening, to Ryan Downs with a recap of This Week in Sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. It's the last week of the regular season, so let's check in on our teams. The Redhawks continued their dominant run, extending their win streak to 13 games and improving to 14-3 on the season. Last Friday, Barnstable picked up its 12th straight win, holding off a tough Falmouth squad. Gabe Pichardo led with 20 points, and Kwan Deza had 16, with the final score being Barnstable 62, Falmouth 56. And this past Tuesday, they secured their 13th consecutive win in a back-and-forth contest with New Mission. The final score was Barnstable 52, New Mission 46. Looking ahead, Barnstable's final game of the season will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at Wareham High School, aiming to keep the streak alive as they head into the postseason. The DY boys split their 2 games this week, moving to 11-8 overall record while holding the 24th spot in Division III power rankings. Last Friday, DY pulled off a thrilling overtime win against Monomoy, with Jaquez Lopez leading the way, scoring 17 points, including the game-tying layup to force overtime. Josh Jenkins had 14, Elijah Grant added 10, and Julian Cash had only 8 points, but they all came within the fourth quarter and overtime. And despite a strong 27-point performance from Tyler Hamilton, DY fell to Nauset this past Tuesday, snapping the Warriors' 7-game losing streak with a final score of 65-62. The Dolphins will play their final regular season game at home on Tuesday at 3:30 against Nantucket. They have already qualified for the postseason, so this game will just determine their final rank in the tournament. The Sharks are finding momentum late in the season, winning 3 of their last 5 games to improve to 5-12 overall. The Sharks fought hard, but fell in overtime to DY last Friday, which was followed up on Monday by a dominant offensive performance that helped Monomoy secure its 4th win of the season, with a final score of 83-53 over Cape Cod Academy. And on Tuesday, the Sharks kept their momentum going, with a solid win over Martha's Vineyard, 67-57. Jackson Rocco led with 29 points, and Jackson Morneau contributed 19. Their latest MIAA power ranking puts them at 31st, which qualifies them for the tournament, but their record of 5-12 does not. They'll look to secure a spot with a win over Nauset when they host them tomorrow at 3 p.m. It was a tough week for the Barnstable girls, who dropped both of their games and extended their losing streak to 3. They now sit at 5-14 overall record with just 1 game remaining. On Tuesday, the Lady Red Hawks struggled against the strong East Bridgewater squad, suffering their 2nd straight loss, 69-25. And the next day, Barnstable fought hard but fell short against Falmouth, marking their 3rd consecutive defeat in a 39-32 final score. Barnstable will close out its season with a home game against Monomoy on Tuesday at 12 p.m. DY girls' 4-game win streak was snapped against a strong Notre Dame Hingham team this past Monday with a final score of 69-42. Then on Tuesday, they rebounded in dominant fashion, crushing Nauset 59-27. The Dolphins were led by Savannah Azoff with 23 points and Jaylene Pierce with 14. They currently have a 13-4 record and have only 2 games left on the schedule, Monday 12 p.m. at Monomoy and Wednesday 1 p.m. at Durfee. They'll look to close out the regular season strong before heading into the postseason as one of Division III's top teams. The Monomoy girls have been on a strong run, winning 6 of their last 10 games and improving to 8-9 overall as they near the end of the regular season. On Tuesday, Monomoy lost a tough one while traveling over to Martha's Vineyard with a final score of 50-38. And yesterday, they lost another one to a very talented St. John Paul II team. The final score was 52-34. JoJo Reddy and Kylie Mond scored 13 points each. They have 3 games left and need to win at least 2 of them if they want to remain 500 and qualify for tournament based on record. But that will come at a steep price with games left versus Bourne, DY, and at Barnstable. They were 8-7 when the latest power rankings came out, which put them at 32. So the 2 recent losses are going to be tough to judge, and they could drop out of the top 32. Regardless, they'll look to wrap up their regular season strong. And that's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Suzanne and Mitch.
Well, Suzanne, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the Harwich Community Center is having their annual Decorated Duck Contest.
This is an exciting time, and what do we have here?
So these here are submissions from the last 2 years. This was our first year.
I love them. How adorable they
This
are.
one is Ryan the Duck. He was, because we have a lot of Ryans on the
do.
news team.
Yes, we
and
do.
then this was the Quack Night, which was our take on Monty Python's The Black Knight. And this year we've decided that we couldn't decide actually as a team on what to do, so my daughter, Cape Media News spokeschild, Fiona Caswell, will be decorating our duck for us, and hopefully there's some footage of it here now that you can see.
Love that.
But other than that, thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
Stay up to date on all the local happenings by following us on Facebook and YouTube.
And make sure to tune in every Friday at 5:30 for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
And I'm Suzanne Tenaire.